What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video on the Philistinic YouTube channel, and in today's video I'll be going through my AFL 2023 round 5 tips and predictions, and obviously as well as that I'm going to be going back over my round 4 tips from last week and seeing how I went. If you guys are new to the channel or you haven't clicked the big red subscribe button down below just yet, make sure you do so. I am so close to 400 subs. I think I'm like 2-3 away, something around there. So yeah, if you are new to the channel, make sure to hit the big red subscribe button down below for more AFL content. Also, remember to join my tipping comp. It will be down below in the description and in the pinned comment. So if you want a chance to win a shout out and maybe even a sub from myself, then hit the link down below in the description. But anyways, without any further ado, let's get straight on into my round 4 tips. So looking back on my round 4 tips from last week, as you guys probably remember, I did them a little bit early before all the results of round 3 were finished. But nonetheless, I got a score of 6 out of 9, I think, which is a tied best score from round 2. So we'll quickly go over the games from last week that happened. Of course, it started off on the Thursday night between the Lions and the Pies. The Lions got the job done pretty comfortably in the end. I did actually end up tipping the Pies, so yeah, got that one incorrect. Next game on the Good Friday, we had North Melbourne taking on Carlton. Carlton obviously got the job done here in this one, so yeah, I tipped the Blues, so yeah, got that tip correct there. The Blues were just a little bit too strong and too classy for the Roos, especially in that second half. Moving over to the Adelaide Oval, we had the Crows taking on the Dockers. I actually tipped Adelaide in a bit of an upset for this match here. I saw a lot of people were tipping the Dockers, and I just thought, you know, Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval, they're just a different side of that ground. So yeah, I tipped Adelaide to get the job done there, and they certainly did that. In fact, they pretty much smashed the Dockers in that second half. It was a very one-sided affair after half-time. Moving over to the MCG, I tipped Richmond over the Bulldogs, and the Bulldogs got the job done by 5 points. So yeah, that's 2 wins in a row now for the Bulldogs. Richmond now in a bit of trouble, unfortunately, for my sake, because I am a Tigers fan. That's not good news for us, but great news there for the Bulldogs. Massive win for them. And then moving over to Marvel Stadium, I tipped the Saints to beat the Suns. And yeah, there was no problem there. The Saints just dismantling the Suns, especially after quarter time, I believe. Yeah, they were far too strong there, the Saints, for the Suns at Marvel Stadium. So yeah, got that tip correct there. Moving over to the SCG, one of the more stranger yet exciting finishes we'll see in 2023. We had the Swans taking on Port Adelaide. Like I said, crazy finish to this one. Ollie Florent, there could have been a kick after the siren in that one. Well, it was a kick after the siren, just falling like a couple metres short of a Swans win there, the Swans. So, yeah, the Swans unlucky in that one, but great win for the Power. Massive respect. It's not easy to beat Sydney in Sydney. So, yeah, got that tip incorrect there. I really thought Sydney would prevail in that one. And then moving over to the Sunday matches, I tipped Essendon to beat GWS at Marvel Stadium, and the Bombers got the job done. You know, fair play to the Giants for staying in the match for as long as they did. But yeah, the Bombers just too strong there. Moving over now to Optus Stadium, where the D's took on the Eagles, and the D's obviously just dismantled the Eagles. Like I said in my tipping video last week, the D's, they're just a different side at Optus Stadium. It's almost the ground where they just love playing at, the D's. It's their home away from home. They haven't really lost a game there ever since the 2021 final series. So yeah, the D's got the job done there by 63 points, doubling the Eagles' score. And then obviously on Easter Monday, I tipped Geelong to beat Hawthorn. Wasn't sure about this match. Obviously, Geelong started the year 0-3. And Hawthorn actually had a win on the board. They were 1-2. But obviously, in the second half, the Cats were just far too strong for the young Hawks. And they ran away pretty comfortable victors in the end there by, 82 points. Wowee, what a win there for the Cats. So yeah, like I said, that takes me to a total of 6 out of 9 for this week. My best score so far this year, I think I got 6 out of 9 somewhere, I think round 2. But anyways, those were the round 4 matches that did occur last week. And now let's move on to my round 5 tips. Alrighty, so here we are, ladies and gentlemen, round number 5. This is the round everyone has been waiting for. It's obviously the massive round as Gabba round. And we kick things off with an absolute blockbuster, an absolute ripper match here. At the Adelaide Oval, we've got the Crows taking on the Blues at the Adelaide Oval on the Thursday night at 7:40, Melbourne time at least. Now, I won't be going to this game. I will be going to Gabba round, but I won't be going to this game. I'll still be watching from Melbourne. Look, the Crows, they had a very good win. Absolutely smashed the Dockers, especially in that second half. Last week, they looked threatening on all areas, especially their forward line, likes of Rochelle, Rankin, and even Phil Thorpe, just far too strong for the Dockers. They just couldn't handle it in the end, the Dockers. They're taking on a Carlton side who, just ran over the top of North Melbourne in that second half, just like the Crows did against the Dockers. The Blues forward line, Mackay, Curnow, even their small forwards like Durden, Owies, just far too superior for the Roos defence. Also, I've read a very interesting stat. The Blues have never won a game at the Adelaide Oval. That is a true stat. That is not fake. That is a true stat. The Blues have never won a game at the Adelaide Oval in their history. But gee, after last week, you cannot take the Crows lightly, especially after what they did against Freo. I think the Crows will win this game. I think the Crows will win this game. Nothing against the Blues. They're a very strong side as well. I think this will be a very, very close and exciting match to watch, hopefully at least. The Crows, though, they're just playing magnificent footy, like I said, and I think they'll be too strong here for the Blues, and will win this game by 19 points. Moving down now to the Friday matches. Now, I will be attending and vlogging these two Friday matches. So yeah, that should be good content. I'm not sure when I'm going to get them out. Hopefully the day after, even though I'm going to the games after as well. It's fair to say both these sides have started the year pretty poorly. The Dockers, both teams are actually 1-3 coming into this match. The Dockers' only win was coming against an injury-riddled West Coast side, and then obviously Gold Coast knocking off Geelong. I think both teams in this match, they're almost desperate for a win, these two sides, to keep their seasons alive. At Norwood Oval, even turf, it could be a very interesting match. There's no real forward threat at the moment for the Suns. Ben King isn't playing the way he was touted to be when he came back into the side. And same with Freo, Matt Tabbert has been god-awful so far this year. I think it could be a very seesawing affair here, but I think the Dockers will win this match. I think Freo will get their second win of the season. I think somewhat easily, the Dockers. I think it'll be not a very interesting match to watch. It could be, it won't be very high scoring, but, it could be very, very close for majority of the match. I think the Dockers will win this match somewhat comfortably. I'm going to say the Dockers win this one by 27 points. Moving down now to the second Friday match is between Richmond and Sydney. This is the game I'm very excited for, also very, very nervous for, obviously as a Tigers fan. I will be going to this match and vlogging it as well, so I'll be vlogging the two Friday matches, which should be very good. This is probably the more interesting of the two Friday matches. Obviously, both these sides are not in the best of form at the moment. Obviously, Richmond only just going down to the Bulldogs last week. And Sydney, heartbreakingly, going down to Port Adelaide as well. So, both these teams are almost hungry for a win after dropping their last two matches. Like I said, both these teams probably desperate for a win. I think the fact that he's at the Adelaide Oval plays into Richmond's hands. I think just because we've had an okay record at that ground as of late, obviously beating the Crows there by 30 points, obviously earlier in the season. And then obviously the Swans really struggle actually at the Adelaide Oval, the Swans. It's probably the one ground they actually really struggle at. Although I think I'm going to stay loyal and tip the Tigers in this match. I think just because it's at the Adelaide Oval, it might play into our hands a little bit and we might be able to get a hold of the Swans just a little bit. I think we'll win it, but in a very close match. I think the Tigers will win this one by 8 points. Moving over now to the Saturday matches in the Adelaide Hills, we've got Brisbane taking on North Melbourne. I think Brisbane will be too strong in this one. No offense to North Melbourne, they played actually somewhat decently against who was it? Oh, Carlton last week, and then obviously fell away in that second half. But the Lions, they've been a very strong side to start this season. They've been inconsistent, but they have beaten some really good sides like Collingwood and Melbourne. It is away from the Gabba, so you never know. Brisbane are a little bit shaky away from the Gabba, but I think against North Melbourne, surely they can't drop a game here away from the Gabba against a side like North Melbourne. North, they are a bit of a wild card. This is neutral turf, Adelaide Hills, so you never know. North Melbourne could pull off something special here, but I just think the Lions will be too strong in this one, and they'll win this game, somewhat comfortably. The Lions will win this one by 18 points. Moving over to the second Saturday match, I'll also be going to this match as well, so there'll probably be a vlog for this match as well. It's Essendon taking on Melbourne on the Saturday sort of evening time slot, 4:10 at the Adelaide Oval. Now, the Bombers have had a fairly decent start to this season. Well, both these sides have had a fairly decent start to this season. Obviously, both these sides have only lost the one game so far in season 2023. I think the D's will be too strong in this match. I just think, their class at the moment, the D's. Speak about a side who are good at the Adelaide Oval. Melbourne just love playing at the Adelaide Oval. Even when they've been challenged, the D's by their opposition, have just been good enough to just respond. And like I said, they've just been getting the job done week in, week out. And I think they'll be too strong here for the Bombers. It is at the Adelaide Oval, so you never know. But I think the D's will be too strong here for the Bombers. It'll be a somewhat good match, I think, for about a half. And then Melbourne will just pour it on. And Essendon probably won't be able to keep up with Melbourne. I think the D's will win this one by 27 points. And I think they will be too strong for the Bombers in this match at the Adelaide Oval. And the final Saturday match for Gabba round, we've got Port Adelaide taking on the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs last week got a somewhat great win against Richmond last week. Despite everything we were throwing at the Dogs, they just managed to respond. And Port Adelaide, well, they got a very good win against Sydney last week. A very resilient win to keep Ken Hinkley's job alive, maybe. It was an inspiring win. It was lucky because the Swans fell about 2 metres short of a famous win after the siren. But I think Port Adelaide, I know they're a bit, they're not very trustworthy at the moment. Port Adelaide, they're a bit inconsistent. But like we saw in round one, Port Adelaide played very good footy at the Adelaide Oval, just like their crosstown rivals. And I think the Dogs are also a little bit inconsistent. And especially this being at the Adelaide Oval, I think Port Adelaide will just be a little bit too strong for the Dogs in this match. And they'll win this one somewhat comfortably, Port Adelaide. I think they'll win this one by 22 points. Moving over to the Sunday matches at the Adelaide Oval, we've got Geelong taking on West Coast. I think Geelong will be too strong for the Eagles in this match. Obviously, West Coast, stood up for about maybe a quarter against Melbourne at best, and then they just got annihilated after that. Whereas Geelong finally found their form against the Hawks last week on Easter Monday. And I just think, they should be able to beat the Eagles here at the Adelaide Oval. I think they'll just be too strong for the Eagles. That's not to say the Eagles can't give it their best, considering it's at neutral turf. But considering it's at the Adelaide Oval, I think Geelong will win this one by 39 points. The second last game of the round, we've got GWS taking on Hawthorn. The Giants have been fairly competitive so far in season 2023, which is really good to see. They did get a round one victory over Adelaide, which is looking pretty good now considering the form that the Crows are in at the moment. And the Hawks, well, they were pretty diabolical in that second half against the Cats. Pretty typical, pretty insipid, the Hawks, if I'm going to be honest. They were just completely outclassed by the Cats. Look, the Giants have been in every game, like I said, so far this season. They only just went down to Essendon by about 13 points last week. They almost beat the Blues the week before that. And, like I said, beat the Crows in round one. So even though it is at neutral turf, Norwood Oval, I think the Giants will beat the Hawks in this one. I just think, like I said, the Giants they've looked the way more convincing side so far this season, even though both teams only got the one win. I think the Giants just too strong in this one, and I think they should get their second win of the season here against the Hawks, and I think the Giants will win this one by 26 points in a fairly comfortable win. And the final game of Gabba Round and Round 5. This is the match everyone's been waiting for. This is the match I'm most excited for. It is Collingwood taking on St Kilda. If I just have a look back up here. Oh, well, Collingwood have fallen to 5th. But this was pretty much the top of the table clash just last week. The Pies have started the year really well. The Pies, obviously, they went down to Brisbane last week and really looked like a second-rate side against the Lions. But then again, the Lions are a very different side at the Gabba. I don't think many teams are going to be able to beat the Lions at the Gabba this year. And wowee, the Saints, they have started this year in superb form. I think a lot of people are sleeping on the Saints so far this season. They're not being talked about as much as they probably should, because they are flying at the moment, the Saints. I think this will be a very, very interesting game, and I'm not going to lie, I think Collingwood will win this match, but I just get a feeling, just the Saints, there's something different about the Saints so far this season. I don't want to tip against the Saints, especially the way they've been playing the last few weeks to start this season. So I'm going to be tipping the Saints to win this match. Probably a bit of an upset here, but I just think the Saints at the moment, they're very hard to score against. You know, I know the Pies have got plenty of scoring power up there in their forward line. But wow, the Saints, they are really hard to play against so far this season. They've dismantled everyone they've come up against. They knocked over Gold Coast easily. They got the better of Essendon in the end, although it took about 3.5 quarters to break them. Who else do they beat? They knocked off Freo in round 1. You know, there's no limits for this St Kilda team at the moment, so I think they will be too strong for the Pies at the Adelaide Oval. But it'll be a very, very close match. I think the Saints will get up and win this one by 1 goal. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Those were my round 5 tips for Gabba Round for this week. Let me quickly go back over them. I've tipped the Saints to beat the Pies at Adelaide Oval. Bit of an upset there, but I think the Saints could get that job done there. I've tipped GWS to beat Hawthorn. I've tipped Geelong to beat West Coast. I think they should win that. I've tipped Port Adelaide to beat the Bulldogs. I think just at the Adelaide Oval, I think Port Adelaide should win that one. I think Melbourne will beat Essendon at the Adelaide Oval as well. I think Brisbane will beat North Melbourne at the Adelaide Hills, although Brisbane are pretty shaky away from the Gabba, so don't be surprised if North Melbourne win that. But anyways, I've tipped Richmond over Sydney. Look, I'm going to be honest, I can see Sydney winning that pretty comfortably. But just because I'm a Richmond fan and because it's at the Adelaide Oval, I think I'm going to tip Richmond in that one. I'm going to stay loyal and tip the Tigers. I've tipped Freo over Gold Coast. Not sure about that one. Gold Coast could win that if Freo are not firing on the day and ready to come out and make a statement. And I've tipped Adelaide over the Blues. That's a bit controversial, but it also could very likely happen. The Blues have never won a game at the Adelaide Oval, so I think the Crows will win that one by 19 points. And so those were my round 5 tips, ladies and gentlemen. But before we go, I just want to show you this. So like I said in the intro, if you haven't joined my tipping comp, make sure you go and do so. There'll be a link down below in the description and the pinned comment. Shout out to everyone in this comp here. Marie T is currently on top of the ladder with a total of 25 correct tips. 2 tips in front of Darcy T, who I think was the leader last week. I can't remember, but I think he was. So shout out to everyone here. Marie T, Darcy T, Rick H, Christian, Ben P, Shannon, Shilos, Maxi Talks, Hugo, thanks for joining the comp, mate. I've just seen you in there. So thanks for joining the comp, mate. I really appreciate it. And then Samuel D, currently still on the bottom of the ladder, 3 tips behind Hugo at the moment. So hopefully he can get off the bottom soon. But anyways, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Those were my round 5 tips. This is my comp if you want to join it. Like I said, link down below in the description. And yeah, those were my round 5 tips and my comp ladder. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Those were my AFL round 5 2023 AFL tips and predictions for Gabba round. Remember to leave your tips for this week down below in the comments. I'd love seeing your takes on all the games for this week. I will be at a lot of these games, or a couple of these games at least, so expect a few match day vlogs to come out in the next couple of weeks. Make sure to join my tipping comp. Like I said, link will be down below in the description and the pinned comment. I'll also put the code to join if you need that. I'll put that as well in the description and the pinned comment as well. Please remember to hit the big red subscribe button down below. I'm so close to 400 subs and I'm trying to get there before the end of Gabba round. So I think I'm only 3 or 2 away. So yeah, please subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Cheers!